Welcome to Behind the Tweet. I'm Christine Parks, Chief of Communications and Community Relations for Temple ISD. Joining me today are Dr. Ott and Donna Ward, our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. Back on June 15th, Dr. Ott tweeted, "Thankful to our Board of Trustees for approving a 3% pay increase for all employees. This is a minimum raise with the potential for more, dependent upon the Texas legislature. We waited as long as we could for legislative support. My staff and their families will wait no more." And there's a picture of our website and some of our students that accompanied that tweet. And it's fair to say that it has garnered quite a bit of attention. But, when we hear 3%, people may not think it sounds like a huge number. But Dr. Ott, can you explain why this is really significant given the current circumstances?
I would say it's significant for two reasons, because costs are going up all around us. Cost of living, inflation, commodities are going up, everything. And so that affects our staff greatly. And then the second reason is because our staff has just watched a regular legislative session, and now today a special session that has ended without any revenue or additional revenue to staff or public educators, students, or to public education in general. So when those two things come together, it's very significant when you see a school district say, well, we're not going to wait any longer. We're going to come out and we're going to try to comfort our staff and make sure that in these uncertain times that they have some level of security and understanding that we understand what they're dealing with and their families, and we're going to do everything we can to try to support them. And so I think that is very significant. And that way they're not waiting an entire summer to try to figure out, well, what is our paycheck going to look like when we're trying to take care of our loved ones?
Well, and it's no secret that this session has been indecisive and at times even combative when it comes to public education. But what's really not being talked about is the real-time impact that this is having on school districts.
So I would say that the real-time impact it's having on school districts is what we're seeing right now, is that public education is becoming a political football to push, certain agendas or certain motives. And that has a real effect on people because it's stalling any revenue that's coming to school or could come to school districts to support 5.5 million children and countless educators, because there's an agenda out there that's trying to be pushed. And we're sitting on the largest surplus that we've ever had at the state level. So that's what's being talked about. What's not being talked about is the good of public education, because during this political football game, you get generalizations. So say something's happened in LA Unified that maybe doesn't agree with a certain value system, or something's happening in a school district somewhere in the state. Well, people are taking that and they're generalizing the service of public ed, that it's happening all across the state, and that couldn't be further from the truth. That's why there is an I in ISD. That's independent, and your school system should reflect your community's values. And in our case, we do reflect our community's values, and that's why we have the support we have. I would say that the one thing that's being left out a lot of times with the negative rhetoric is the thing that we try to ground ourselves in, and it's the day-to-day difference that public educators make in the lives of children. They create authentic interactions, authentic experiences that are around helping people, not just students, but their peers, improve. And those are the stories that get lost in this a lot of times. So, I think the overall impact is negative at this point. And I think that that the real stories of public education are being mired and buried under just these generalized statements that are being made and cast upon all of public educators. And it's a bit unfair, to be honest with you.
Providing competitive compensation has been a priority of yours, Dr. Ott, and obviously you've worked closely with Donna and her HR department on that for the last several years. But when we talk about competitive compensation, I think it's important for people to know how we define that term and determine what competitive actually looks like.
at least in my mind, competitive means if you take comparable school districts that you are paying your staff at or above what your peer districts are being paid. I think our goal is that we want, whether they're hourly employees or salary employees, we want to put the best people and attract the best people in front of our kids. And one of the things that's important in the recruitment process is that you are taking care of their families. And so I think that's why it's very important for us to be competitive. And Dr. Ward can go into a lot of details because they do a lot of studies, whether it's stipend studies, salary studies, market studies, to make sure that when we offer packages or recommend packages to the board to approve, that they are competitive for our staff.
The one question that comes up a lot, or at least recently, since inflation and society has gotten out of control, is why are we not keeping up with inflation? And the reality is because the legislature doesn't keep up with inflation when they talk about the basic allotment that's given to districts. And so we have to look at our market group, and so those are our districts that are like us and that are around us to see how they're paying their staff, and then we try to get as close to or pay more than they do so that we can remain competitive in our market.
And you and your department do an amazing job making sure that we are remaining competitive. And I just think it's important that people know competitive means with our local peer districts. We're not trying to be competitive with a Dallas or a Houston. We're trying to be competitive with those in the Central Texas area. And I think that is an important distinction and reminder for people when we talk about competitive compensation. And compensation obviously is extremely important to our staff, but Temple ISD also invests in our staff in a lot of other ways. And Donna, can you talk about some of the programs and initiatives that HR provides for our staff?
Sure. Well, salary is definitely one of those things that keeps people in our district, hopefully. But there are other reasons why people stay with a district, and our goal is to keep our people once we get them. So the first initiative that we started 2 years ago is our WellWorks program, because we realize that people need to be healthy mentally and physically, and in a lot of ways, physical health leads to positive mental health. And so WellWorks is a program that we partner with, and it does that. It focuses on your physical health. They also offer a fitness and nutrition dashboard, and so you can track your steps, your food intake, your water intake, your sleeping patterns, which is extremely important as well. Within that same program, there's a learning center, and they offer online videos that help you focus on providing education around chronic conditions such as diabetes, improving your fitness, your mental health, mind and body, and nutrition. And so those are all videos that our staff can go and look at and learn more about. Say you were recently diagnosed with diabetes, so you can go on there, watch the video, and learn more about diabetes.
Truly a great resource.
Oh, absolutely. Another program we have is called our CAT program. This is actually one of our new initiatives. So we've been focusing on growing our own. And so about 3 years ago, we focused on our paraprofessionals who have a degree and helping them earn a teacher certification while they're teaching in the classroom. And so our second step then is to help our paraprofessionals who have some credits, 60 to 90 credits towards a degree. And so we are partnering with American College of Education to help them get the rest of those credits and to get certified to become a teacher. So they actually work while they're finishing their school as a teacher, and TISD helps pay for their college. And so most of the time, people don't finish their degree because there's a financial barrier. And so we're trying to remove that financial barrier while helping our employees grow, and then investing in them so that they can invest in our students. And these are people who are invested in our community anyway, so they're more likely to stay with us. So that's our certification academy for Temple teachers. And then finally, we do participate in the teacher incentive allotment. And so this year we will be handing out about $500,000 to our teachers who have earned a designation through the teacher incentive allotment process. And of course, that's offered through Texas Education Agency to help compensate our teachers who do an extraordinary job in the classroom. And the goal really is to retain, recruit, and keep our teachers in the classroom. So we're excited to participate in that. And I think we're all going to be excited in August when we get to hand out checks to our teachers this year, because this is the first year that they'll get some money.
We've heard so much in the media about teacher shortages and teachers leaving the profession in record numbers. And in fact, at the beginning of last school year, my department was flooded with questions from local media asking about how many open positions we had. And it seemed to be that Temple ISD was an anomaly because when we started the school year last year, we were 100% staffed as far as teacher positions go. And what do you think contributes to this really anti-trend that we are seeing in Temple ISD?
Well, I think primarily it's because we cultivate relationships within our own community, the Temple community. We send out a staff's climate survey every year, twice a year, just so we can keep our thumb on the pulse of our campuses, and 96% of our staff say that their principals treat them with respect. And we know people don't leave jobs, they leave supervisors, right? 97% of the staff say that they're proud to work for our district. And I think that's because we create this family feel. We know we're in it together. We don't expect perfection, but we do expect you to try. And I think people respect that. And then 98% of our teachers say that they like the people that they work with. And that goes back to creating those connections with each other. And a lot of times people who feel connected to their community and they feel connected to their district, that word spreads and it gets out in other communities and people want to join that. They want to be a part of something bigger than them. And I think we do a really good job of that. The other thing that the district is committed to is growing our people. And so we believe that there are leaders at every level of the organization. And so our job is to help develop those leadership skills. And so currently we're building a principal pipeline. And so we're investing in our assistant principals to help them become a successful first-year principal when the time comes.
And hold on to that thought, because we will do another podcast, hopefully in the future, about the Holdsworth journey, and hopefully have you and Dr. Ott and Dr. Adams here to really talk about that and to really, now that the principal pipeline will be underway, to really discuss that more in depth. So definitely we want to hear more on that one in the future for sure.
Yeah. And then this coming school year, we're going to be building out a teacher leadership pipeline so we can help teachers become the leaders that they want to be, and whatever that looks like for them. And so, we're always continually looking for opportunities to help our people grow. And then finally, of course, we have our biggest fan, Dr. Ott, who is always out there singing our praises, highlighting the great things that are happening in Temple ISD. And we're very fortunate to have a superintendent who looks for the good in the district. So.
Well, I didn't pay you to say that. I didn't know you were going to say that.
Oh, I'm sending you a bill, so it's okay.
I would add I'd add a few things that may be a little redundant. I think that, and actually I was asked a few weeks ago to describe our culture to somebody that doesn't work in the district. And I think, one, we're a stretch culture. We welcome innovation and we promote growth.
I agree with that.
And I think that's very important. We have people that want to learn, they want to grow. A lot of them want to ascend, or they want to just grow where they're at. And so we're always looking for ways to do that. And then the other thing I'd say is we have a caring culture. I mean, we really do. We have a safe environment. We have a comfortable environment. We have a family feel when it comes to support, and we celebrate. We celebrate everybody. We want everyone to know that they all make a difference and they all can lead no matter where they're at. So I think those things, having a stretch culture and a compassionate or caring culture, I think having those together, really help us, do a good job and maybe entice people to come work for us.
Absolutely. And you can't have that culture without connecting with each
Right.
other.
I don't think you can ever go wrong when you prioritize people over programs or opinions or politics or whatever it may be. And I think our staff truly feels that we do that and that we do it well in Temple ISD. And Donna, just again, a huge thank you to you and your staff for setting that example and expectation from day one with our staff. And, given the current uncertainty surrounding funding and support of public education, it would be easy for our staff to be consumed with doubt and maybe even fear for the future. But instead, because of the commitment that the board made for the 3% raise, our staff know what they can expect at a minimum in terms of compensation for next year. So, Dr. Ott, once legislative decisions are made about school funding for the next biennium, what adjustments will be made in terms of compensation for our staff?
So I would say that's going to depend largely on the legislative appropriation, how much revenue, and then the requirements attached to it. We will make sure that we satisfy the legislative requirements, but as we've done in the past, we try to exceed them. In 2019, 2020, the legislative statute required school districts to take the additional basic allotment money that we were given, which we are certainly grateful for, and spend at least 30% on staff, and we spent 58%. So, as long as there's discretion, I think what staff can expect is we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we meet the legislative statute or requirements that come with additional revenue. But I think, secondly, if there's any discretion, we're going to look to see if we can make that a minimum baseline and we can exceed the legislative requirement. But time will tell. We'll see in the next couple months where it all lands.
The reality is our staff is invaluable to what we do every day to support students across this community. And what I hope that our staff knows and hears without a shadow of a doubt is that they have a school board, a superintendent, and a senior leadership team who believe in them and will continue to advocate, prioritize, celebrate, and compensate them to the fullest extent possible. And I thank you both for joining us today. Any final thoughts from either of you?
I just feel very blessed to work in a district that does focus on taking care of their people. And because that's the most important thing we do, because those people that we take care of our kids. And those kids eventually become the people who take care of us in the community. And so I just feel very fortunate to be a part of it.
And I would add to that and say that we have a strong commitment to do everything we can to create a place that people want to come to and serve because their attitudes, the way they feel about their ability to perform and grow has an immediate effect on those they serve. So if we can take care of, as Donna said, if we can take care of our staff, then that, in my mind, that increases the probability that we're going to do the best job possible in serving our students.
Thanks so much for joining us behind the tweet.